Greetings, fine people. My name is Leonard, and I am a junk crafter. In this episode, I will be repairing my very first anvil. I found this many years ago when I was just starting down the long path of junk crafting. What does this have to do with junk, you ask? Well, this isn't actually an anvil. It is a piece of junk called an Anvil Shaped Object. Before I get into what an Anvil Shaped Object is, maybe I should explain what an anvil is. An anvil is a tool with a hardened face used as a striking surface. That's it. It doesn't have to be massive or anvil-shaped to be an anvil. What it is made of is far more important. The first anvils were hard stones that aided in the construction of stone, copper, and bronze tools. These gave way to bronze and later iron anvils. By the end of the Industrial Revolution, most anvils were made of wrought or cast iron with a forge-welded steel face on top. These days, they come in many shapes and sizes, but most modern anvils are made of cast or forged steel. There are some cast iron anvils with thick steel plates, which could debatably be called real anvils, but for the most part, these products make very poor anvils. So much so that many blacksmiths have taken to calling them Anvil Shaped Objects, or ASOs. Identifying an ASO can be difficult. In outward appearance, they look deceptively like actual anvils. Let's do a little quiz. Of these objects, which one is an actual anvil? Is this an anvil? How about this? Or this? Or maybe this? If you answered yes to any of them, you share something in common with these objects. You are all wrong. The correct answer was none of the above. This is a real anvil. It has a wrought iron base with a forge-welded steel face. It's old, but it anvils just as well as a brand new fancy solid steel anvil. And this is yet another anvil. It is a modern solid steel anvil that you can still buy brand new from the manufacturer. This is also an anvil. It is designed to be driven into a stump and used to make just about anything but the largest projects. Even this works as an anvil. It's not shaped as you would expect, but it meets the requirements of a hard striking surface. So, while these anvils are very different, they share the most important traits of anvilness. Anvility? Anvilment. Anvilness. I was right the first time. I found this ASO in an antique shop. It was being used as a really heavy doorstop. From the damage, it looks like it had been left somewhere with water dripping on one spot for a long time. It's hard to see in this image, but it was kind of shaped like an eye. I burned through a whole tube of welding rods, but filled in the damage for the most part. The next step is to grind the whole thing flat. While I'm doing that, I'll point out some other details. On the side is the number 100, which I assumed was the weight. It turns out it is the weight, only not pounds. It weighs 100 kilograms, or 220 pounds. I made the mistake of trying to lift it and learned very important lessons about lifting with your knees, not your back. That number is a clue about the anvil's quality and origin. Usually, American anvils are marked with pounds, if at all, and the numbers are raised, indicating that it was cast, as any numbers or letters would have been carved into the mold with the iron filling in the spaces. Forged anvils almost always have indented markings. made by striking the mark into the anvil while it was still hot. One test for anvils is to drop a ball bearing on the face and see how high it rebounds. The harder the anvil, the higher the ball goes. For example, here is a good anvil. And here is what this thing does. Another odd thing about this anvil is the large plate on top. It looks like it has an inch of steel there, but as the metal has rusted, I noticed that the top few millimeters seem to be rusting differently. It's entirely possible that the entire plate is fake except for that bit. I have devised a simple test to see what the metal is. By testing the hardness, I can identify which parts of the anvil are soft, meaning cast iron, and hard, meaning steel. Since I don't have a fancy laboratory setup, I made this thing. It's not exactly ANSI approved, but it will hit the anvil with the same force each time, meaning all I need to measure is the depth of the dents and compare the marks against each other. A smaller dent will indicate harder metal. I kept looking for the dent to get smaller, and it never did. Instead of a hardened steel plate welded to cast iron, I think the entire thing is cast iron. So, these tests confirm my suspicions. This ASO is a POS, which means I can do whatever I want to it. To start with, I finished grinding the top flat. It's so smooth and shiny. Don't worry, that won't last long. Once that was done, I decided to strip the old paint. It looks like it's been painted several times. I don't think that anvils should be painted, but since this isn't an anvil, I might try it out myself later. A note of caution for any would-be strippers of old paint. Many tools dating before 1980 would have lead paint, so make sure that you are well protected from the dust, and don't eat any of the paint chips. I know they're sweet, but it's not worth it in the long run. That looks much better, but it still feels like it's missing something. A certain je ne sais quoi. No wait, it has a name. It's called paint. I'm a fan of that industrial blue-gray color they put on big machines, but I figured that this project was more deserving of a color as ridiculous as it is. Don't paint the top. This is where you do your striking, and the paint there would be pointless. I got some overspray on it, but I'm not going for perfect here, so no worries. To finish it off, I think it needs to have racing stripes. It makes the anvil look 30% faster. Minimum. For this part, I have to apologize, as I know how satisfying peeling the tape off of a perfectly done paint line can be. I filmed the whole thing, and then discovered that my camera died just after starting. I'm sorry. There you have it. While not useful as a proper anvil, anvil-shaped objects are still useful in their own ways. This one is heavy, has a huge hardy hole, and the soft face actually makes it good for doing work like cutting and grinding. Having a junk anvil in the shop isn't a bad thing, as long as you know what it is and what it isn't. Mr. Fine is displaying the final product. This time I figured that it might be a bit much for him to hold it up to the camera, so he's demonstrating how good this ASO is at preventing gravity from pulling him into the ground. Good job, ASO. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please click the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing. If you didn't like it, please click the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing. Let me know what kind of projects you think I should work on. Until next time, stay crafty.